Welcome to the Beyond the Years podcast, a podcast about all things Disney.
Welcome to the show. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Since it's been a few weeks since we've uploaded content, we're just going to do really just a chatty life update episode.
Yeah.
Because we've had a lot going on.
Yeah, we've had a ton going on, and we've wanted to make a podcast, but we just get home and like it's chaos between stuff going on in our lives and like trying to eat dinner and relax for a little bit and get Grace into bed on a decent time, and because he's not in daycare right now, so it's just like chaos.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with the whole, where do we want to start with the whole daycare situation?
Yeah, so he's out of the old daycare that he was at. And
are you going to elaborate at all?
I mean, if you want to, sure.
I mean, I feel comfortable elaborating. I talk about it all the time at work. So our son is 3, and he was very suddenly kicked out of his old daycare. Everything happened very, very quickly. Like we had basically no notice. A lot of things kind of came to light at that time.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of had, one day where he had a couple incidents, and then we scheduled a meeting with the daycare. We came up with like a whole plan. I had a meeting with his pediatrician. Josh's mom came with me for support. And then literally the next day he was there. We did a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes, but the next day he was there, he ended up getting kicked out. And it's just been a whirlwind of an experience. I guess the long story of it, or the long story short, is that he possibly has ADHD, which in children his age presents in several different ways. So the way it's presenting in him, first of all, he's highly intelligent. Highly intelligent. He understands concepts way above his age. He's very, very smart. He is always busy. Always got to be busy, and he has to be focused on something. If he's not constantly stimulated, he's going to want to move on to the next thing. So the way it was presenting for him at daycare was a lot of impulsivity. So, I mean, he's 3. So 3-year-olds, if you don't know anything about 3-year-olds, they have a hard time regulating emotions and behaviors, which is normal. They have a hard time being impulsive. So like hitting, biting, yelling, that kind of thing. That's very normal behavior for 3-year-olds. But Grayson was exhibiting a little bit more of that, especially towards the end, right before he got kicked out. And unfortunately, like we weren't fully understanding what was happening. And that was a combination of like me working nights and weekends, the daycare not communicating well with us about it, and us just thinking, chalking it up to like normal developmental behavior for 3-year-olds. But it's a lot. In hindsight, I don't think it was the right facility for him to be at. Looking back, I never felt like he was fully embraced there. And I feel like kids can really tell if they are truly welcome and loved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he did have a little bit of that. But I feel like he could tell that, he wasn't like a favorite child, or he wasn't like loved the way that he was loved at home.
Yeah, some teachers, like his main teacher, loved him, but he wasn't always around just her.
Yeah,
for most
and
of the
she
day.
was
like for a majority of the day.
She was gone for like a month at one point,
Or
and I
two,
think that's when things started to escalate.
Yeah.
But it was just very, very sudden. And if you know anything about daycares, if you have kids, it's very hard to find good, reliable care, especially at the drop of a hat. Like, it just does not exist.
Yeah. So we were on multiple wait lists of other daycares, and we were like, I think one of them was we were like 98th
89th. So
or 89th. Yeah.
So the week that, I mean, this all happened in the span of a week. It was just a whirlwind, and we both work full time, so we were trying to do all of those things
and work and try to schedule
Yeah,
people to
and
watch Grayson and
and I was like signing paperwork to start a new job, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But literally Monday, we kind of got a note from the daycare saying, if this behavior doesn't improve within the week, we're going to have to like look at other options. Tuesday, we had a meeting with the daycare to discuss plans. Wednesday, we had a meeting with his pediatrician to talk to her about the behavior and all of those things. And then Thursday, he got kicked out.
Yep.
And then Friday, we have no care. And so literally just scrambling. I mean, we both work full time. So
yeah. So on that Friday, our sister-in-law came over to watch him.
mm-hmm.
And then, or my sister-in-law, Ashley, I guess, yeah, your sister-in-law too, right?
Kaylee?
Yeah. Kind of sister-in-law.
I mean, my brother's girlfriend.
Yeah.
But we've just really been piecing together care. But from the message that we received from the daycare on Monday,
mm-hmm.
I got the vibe and the feeling that they weren't
already made up their mind.
They had pretty much made up their mind.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter what we said or what we did or regardless of what they said, right? Because they were going to work with us and we were going to implement all of these changes and discipline and redirecting and all of these things to help support him. But ultimately, I feel like they made up their mind, and I could sense that. So I can't remember what day it was because I was like, we were both working.
Tuesday.
But
after the whole incident,
I immediately called the local school to get him on the wait list for the preschool. And then I messaged and called another daycare that I knew had just relocated to a larger facility. And then on Thursday, I mean, this time frame was crazy fast. Mm-hmm. Thursday, when he got kicked out, we were like, oh my God, straight up panic, because not only did he get kicked out, we're now dealing with like very sudden different behavior issues and like potential ADHD. And it was just a lot all at once. But anyway, after like calling numerous daycares, leaving voicemails, I actually ended up calling I made a post on Facebook in a local moms group, which thank God for the local moms group that I'm in. Basically explaining the situation, because moving forward, we wanted to be fully transparent with whoever was going to take care of him, that he potentially has ADHD and he was kicked out of a facility, and like, this is what is happening. So we wanted to be fully transparent, but I made a post on Facebook. A lot of people made suggestions. And then one of the moms actually messaged me privately on Facebook to ask me a question about like what facility he was kicked out of. 'Cause I didn't want to like publicly shame them. Anyway, the daycare that she had recommended was the only daycare that I called that physically picked up the phone when I called. And so they picked up the phone, and I was able to set up a tour like 30 minutes later. So I left work to take my lunch early, went and toured the facility. It's more of like an old school church daycare, very well established. I toured the facility, and then we just kind of stood there and talked for like 20 minutes or something like that. I don't even know. And it was just a completely different vibe. They have a lot more experience with kids. I feel like I'm kind of like explaining this to Josh too, because we haven't had time to like sit down and discuss everything.
Because this is our where we just like sit down and talk to each other. Because at night it's just like Like
Yeah.
we said, it's just chaos at night.
And it's
Trying
so,
to do our own thing and like trying to like get downtime, because downtime for me is at 9:30 hopping on Xbox and playing and playing games with her brother.
yeah. And I have been,
And she's like, I'm gonna go lay in bed and watch TV, and because like that's literally our only downtime is because it's like we get home, we do the thing with Grayson, like it's dinner, like get him ready for bed, get him down by like a decent time, which has been sporadic here lately just because he's staying home.
he has rocked my world.
Yeah.
This has rocked my world. Like crazy.
So it's like trying to get him wrangled down, and then, you know, he's like, I want to be up, or I want to be up. And you could like hear him in the other room. We're trying to clean up the house, like from dinner and everything else. And it's like, oh, it's 9:30. Okay, I guess I'll just sit down and I'll take a shower and kind of like try to relax. And then it's like, well, I relax by playing game, so I can vent to Sam, and she relaxes by like just
literally
hanging out.
Sleeping is what I've been doing.
Yeah, you went to bed
I've been like
night.
passing out early because this has been very draining. But anyway, to kind of wrap that up, I told the daycare literally everything, and at the end of it, the assistant director gave me like the warmest hug ever, and I just kind of melted into it. And if you know me, I am not a hugger. I really am not. I don't like to be touched, but I was just like so open to this hug, and it was just like the warmest hug ever. And she was so nice. And actually, the director has a master's degree in early childhood education. And at the time when I did the tour, they had said that, you know, they would be willing to take him on, knowing that it's always a possibility that it might not be a happy ending, is what they kept saying. You know, like they've had a lot of kids who've been kicked out of facilities, and a lot of them have just been completely wonderful and everything's been fine. But there's also sometimes where it just doesn't work out. But knowing that, they would welcome him with open arms and love on him and embrace him. And I could just tell like the heart they had for kids. And that was like something that I had described as like one of the most important things to me, was that he needs to know that he is loved, because that's what he gets at home, and that's what he gets from our family, and that's what he needs to get all of the time. Anyway, long story short, they didn't have a spot for him immediately. He has a spot in like a week and a half. He'll start. And I'm excited, but I'm very nervous to keep this positive. His behavior since he got kicked out of the previous daycare has been so much better.
Yeah.
So
but we've also
much
tightened
better.
up ship on our end.
We've
a
done
lot more.
We have done a lot of the work to support him and to get him, you know, on the right path. That's our job as parents. But like we've had to get on the same page and have some discussions about discipline and structure. And so we've done a lot of the work there to support him and straighten him out. But it's just his behavior has so significantly improved. I'm hopeful that it will stay that way. I think transitions are always hard for kids. Transitions are hard for everybody.
Yeah.
So hopefully transitioning into this new facility won't be rough for him, but I'm expecting a couple of rougher days at the beginning, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that was like one of the biggest things, because I mean, when you rely on full-time childcare with 2 full-time working parents, and all of your families work full-time, all of your family members, like it is just
chaos.
Oh yeah. And it just rocked our world. And I'm not used to, like, I work in retail, and so my days off during the week, Grayson would still go to school. It was important for his development and like him to have a routine, but it was also important for me, like my mental health, and for me to be able to work on our other businesses, to be able to have that time. So like cleaning, doing YouTube videos, doing TikTok, making our coasters, all of those things, I would have the time and the energy to do them on the side, and editing and all that kind of stuff. But obviously it's a lot different when you have a 3-year-old, and especially when you're going through like all of these changes to like really work through that. But
yeah,
I feel like we survived the worst of it, and now we're like going for like a more,
we're almost crest the top of the hill.
We're almost there. I think in a few weeks everything will definitely like level out.
We hope.
Yeah.
So you've pretty much talked the whole time, so I'm going to let you keep talking, because now that would transition us to the next part.
Oh, my new job.
Of your job.
Yeah.
Which is also something else that's been, I guess, not stressful, but like, just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Now we have to adjust a lot of things. Well, not adjust financially. For you, adjust to normal schedule.
Yeah. So I've talked about this a little bit here on the podcast, but we've tried to keep it, relatively on topic most of the time. But I have worked at TJ Maxx for 9 years. I've been a manager for over 5 years. And there have been a lot of things that have happened that have made me want to leave for the past several years. The company's made a lot of bad choices, not for the betterment of their people. And I don't know, I could go on and on and on about that forever. But essentially, I had been looking for jobs for quite some time.
About a year.
Yeah, about a year,
But
like
not
on and
like-
off.
Yeah, I was going to say, you weren't like really job hunting until about like 4 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, on and off for the past couple years, but really the past year. But I had kind of decided that I wanted to look in healthcare because for a lot of reasons, I wanted that fulfillment of like for the greater good, like doing something that I felt like mattered. Working in customer service right now in a job where I see like kind of like the worst of everyday people made me want to do something that like helped people like who actually needed it. So I wanted to do healthcare for that reason, but also like job security. Healthcare has a lot of options for like set schedules, Monday through Friday, insurance, even for part-time. Like if I was going to go part-time in the future, that would be a good long-term option, is that I would be able to step down into a part-time position and still maintain insurance, which is important if you have kids. So a lot of reasons. Ultimately, I did get a job at one of the hospitals where we live, and it's Monday through Friday, 6 to 2:30, which is like almost like the perfect schedule. Once I get adjusted to waking up at 4:30, which I can do. Don't look at me like that. I can do it. I at TJ Maxx, trust me, I've had to work at 3 a.m. I've had to work at 5 a.m. I've had to work at 6. I've had to work at 7. I've had to work until 10:30 or 11.
You're just not a morning person, so it's just funny.
I'm more of a morning person when I have to get up for work. Otherwise, yeah, I just won't get up. But anyway, it's Monday through Friday, 6 to 2:30. I will have every weekend off, and I will have major holidays off, which I've never had. I've never had weekends off, and I've never had major holidays. It is doing something completely different than what I'm used to, obviously. But honestly, like when I did my interview, I interviewed with 3 of the supervisors in the department, and it just felt right at the time. And they still had a couple more people they had to interview after me, but I just felt like it was a perfect fit. So I'm really, really excited. I'm not going to start for about 3.5 weeks still. There's a lot of reasons why I ended up giving a little bit of a longer notice. We're not going to get into that, but I won't start for about 3.5 weeks still, but it's going to be a huge change, big adjustment. I don't know. It's the only thing that's not like a good thing is that I am taking a pay cut, but there's a lot of opportunities for advancement, and I do think that I will advance quickly. But I think for my mental and physical health and for our family, I think it's the best thing I can do. So I'm super excited. My body will not even know what to do, like with a set schedule.
I just thought of that. Are you going to pick up Grayson on your way home?
Yeah, so my plan is to go work out at the Meyer Center, which is right next to it.
And
then
because you'll have access to that.
Yeah, I'll have a discount, and then I'll pick him up on my way home. So he will be dropped off at the same time every day and picked up at the same time every day, which that consistency will be great for him too.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, man, that would be really early for you to pick him up, because it's still, that would be like right after he woke up from a nap.
No, it's going to be great because I will be able to like work my full 8-hour day, change clothes, and then go work out for like 45 minutes, an hour, and then be able to pick him up, and it'll still be like decently early in the day. So yeah, I've been formulating all these things, but it's been a lot. And then of course, I don't know how much we want to get into that. Me quitting my job. I don't know. I feel like I'll talk more about it on my personal YouTube channel. Because I'm gonna.
Why you quit?
Yeah, why I quit and like the whole process of quitting.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say don't talk about it here because it would be like I said, it would be like a very long. We weren't trying to make this like a huge long video. It's just kind of like, hey, we're still alive and we want to make podcasts, but this is what's going on. Mm-hmm. So like we're still here. Yeah,
and so anyway, the great thing about that is I will have every weekend off, so you and I can have a set schedule to record podcasts as well. Like if we want to do
Sunday, we record a podcast, so for whatever day.
Yeah, so I don't know. Just in general, it's going to be really nice to be able to have consistency. You guys will see a lot more consistency from us.
No more weekends for the boys only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of changes, and then I don't know, that has been everything, and trying to work and going through a really tough season at my job currently. Like it's been so mentally and physically draining. Like the past few weeks I felt like my body is like literally shutting down. I could feel my body shutting down. It was crazy. Like I could have just collapsed at any point.
I don't think we're the only ones experiencing that, because everyone I've talked to is going through the same thing right now.
Yeah.
Like mental fog, just like feeling like really just not in it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, maybe it's in the air.
It's been a tough season of life. And then you have like seasonal depression, which affects a lot of people, and like the dark, gloomy weather. It's cold and kind of yucky out. But yeah, I mean, it has been like just a lot all at once.
Yeah. To say the least, the last like 5 months, 6 months have been like, all right, I'm ready to tap out.
Yeah. I mean, more specifically, like all of February, I literally, not to be like super dark, but like I felt like I could have just collapsed. Mm-hmm. And there were times where like, it was 7 p.m. and I was like, I have to go to sleep right now. And I can't, like, you're going to have to do bedtime routine with Grayson. Like, I'm going to just collapse. And it's just like my body hurts. I mean, I feel better for some reason today and like yesterday. Maybe it's because I like officially turned in my notice at my job. And so like a weight has been lifted. But but like my whole body for a long time was just like hurting.
Yeah.
My
It's all
headaches
the
were
sugar.
awful.
That's all the sugar. You need to try intermittent fasting like I'm doing.
I'll think about it, but I think it's more to do with the job that I have, and also the stress that we had been under with him getting kicked out of daycare and ADHD and all that kind of stuff. But we're on the mend, and good things are coming. I did want to talk about our coasters really quick.
Well, I want to say this real quick because
Okay.
I'm on day 4 of like in a really extreme intermittent fasting, and I feel pretty good. So yesterday I broke my fast at like 12:30. Today I broke my fast at 12-ish. But the 2 days before that, it was a 20-hour fast. And then I had a 4-hour eating window. And boy, like my mood has changed so much in those past like 3 or 4 days.
You've also been working out the past
I worked
couple
out one
days.
day.
Oh, okay.
I worked out on Tuesday. I didn't work out yesterday, and I was gonna work out today, but I was like, we really need to do a podcast when we get home. I might just like do something inside or like stretch or like do yoga or something in a little bit. But my legs are still trashed from the workout the other day.
Yeah.
But because I was like, oh my gosh, like I got out of my car this morning, I'm like, holy crap, my legs are so sore right now. Like this is the sorest I've been since I was like in high school, like super sore.
Mm-hmm.
But I also haven't like really, really worked out in over like 2 months.
Yeah, we both kind of took off there.
Yeah. But the fasting thing, I've been like doing like looking more into it, and the benefits are so good. And I'm like, I don't even like when I was doing the 20-hour fast, like I don't even get hungry. It's like noon and like your mind thinks it's lunchtime, I get to eat. Well, I would just go, you can have like black coffee and water, and that's about it. Like if you eat anything with any sort of caloric intake, it like kills your fast. So that's what I did. Just would drink coffee on my lunch break, just a small cup of coffee, just to kind of like have taste and kind of fill you up, and then drink a lot of water. Totally different vibes. I really think now I know for women it can mess up your hormones doing like a extended fast, but I think for you doing like a skip breakfast, drink water or black coffee, which you don't like coffee, so I don't see you really drinking black coffee. But skipping breakfast or like I don't even know how you do it. It would definitely just have to be skipping breakfast, but you doing like a 16-hour fast would be good for you, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I just need to train my body because that would actually help me in the long run because I am like you said earlier, I'm not a morning person, but I've always like needed to eat breakfast, so I'm always scrambling in the mornings to like either make breakfast or go buy breakfast, and it's always a disaster when I have to work early. So it would help me out a lot if I could train my body to just not eat breakfast.
You're very like your mom groomed you guys to like, okay, we're having a protein and a vegetable and a carbohydrate. Like, because anytime we make food, you're like, what vegetable are we eating? And I was like, I don't know. I was just going to have ravioli. And you were like, just very
I think
like.
that's less of my mom and more of like society.
No, I don't think it is. Because I know a lot of people that are like, what'd you eat for dinner? I don't know. I just had a bunch of chicken nuggets or something. But I know how you guys were like raised and like groomed. And I'm like, oh, that's 100%. Ashley's like, gotta have a vegetable, gotta have a protein, gotta have a carbohydrate. Or
yeah,
like
that's a balanced meal.
but you are very specific sometimes, and I'm like, that's the Cheryl in you trying to get that.
I think that's the mom in me trying to like provide what's the healthiest option for our kid, even though I know he's not going to eat it.
I'm not saying for Grayson. I'm saying before Grayson was even born. But it always cracks me up because you're like, I gotta eat breakfast, gotta have lunch, gotta have dinner, and I'm like, Well, I've just been skipping breakfast and lunch, and I feel great. And honestly, uh, like drinking just black coffee, like I thought it would bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. Because I'm a big like bougie, like ooh, I like adding cream or heavy whipping cream and a little bit of sugar to the coffee to make it sweet. But
Yeah.
not even the case. I put a little bit of cinnamon in my coffee ground, so it like makes it like cinnamony flavored. But that's about it. Feels so good. My inflammation, like my knees being tight, I don't feel as inflamed, and that's something that helps with like fasting, as inflammation, because you're not eating a whole lot of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just had to go on a rant about that because I feel really good. Like I feel great right now. I could go run a marathon. And tired. You're yawning right now because I was like, man, I'm not even tired either.
Well, I mean, I felt pretty good all day, but I am drinking an energy drink right now.
I know that, but I'm just saying, like, before when I on my way home, I was like, God, I'm so awake right now. Like, I just feel so different.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth a try because that is one of the things I struggle with the most is like fatigue later in the day. So
the first day sucked. Or no, I'm sorry. The first day was really easy. Second day kind of sucked because you were like, ooh, man, I really want to eat some food. And you kind of get a little tired, but like your mind, it's just a mental thing too. Like your mind over matter kind of thing.
yeah.
Anyway, I felt like you did a lot of talking, so I was like, I need to do a lot of talking about something.
I did do a lot of talking.
Yeah, you talked for like 22 minutes straight.
I'm sorry. The whole, I mean, that was the whole thing.
Yeah, I get that. But I was like, well, I need to talk a little bit because you always are like, gosh, you need to talk more during the podcast. And I'm like, well, I am, but you ate up a whole lot of talking right there.
Yeah, I know. I personally love to listen to like people doing life updates. That's more of like my kind of content that I enjoy. Mm-hmm. So I know this is like a Disney specific channel, but I feel like we needed to do a little bit of this is what's been going on, get to know us kind of a thing.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the coasters.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about the coasters before on the show, but we have a small business where we make comic book art, essentially. Mm-hmm. One of the main things, kind of like the baby of it all, we make coasters. So we cut pictures out of comic books and then we turn them into coasters. And I just think they're the coolest thing ever. It's constantly evolving. We have gone online with them. So we have a Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and right now we have a Go Imagine page where you can purchase them. And then we are like, I think the next steps is to try and get them in physical stores in the area,
which I've been working on.
We need to we like want to work harder on that, but again, it's one of those things where we just don't have the time right now.
Yeah, I went to a few comic book shops 2 weekends ago or last week. I can't remember at this point. 2 weekends ago. And I gave them business cards and was like, here's what we do. And they're like, well, we're not really buying until like April, May. Mm-hmm. That's when we do like all our buying stuff for vendors. And another guy, it was a smaller shop, said to keep me in mind. And then that was about it for the places because there's not a whole lot of comic book stores other than like Vintage Stock or Entertain Mart, which Entertain Mart doesn't really count. Vintage Stock is more like they actually sell comics.
So part of the problem with that is that it's hard to do anything business related when you have a 3-year-old with you. And so you had Grayson with you, and I know like you love spending time with him, but speaking from experience, like when you're trying to work on the business part of things, it is almost impossible to divide your brain. you know, because like he
busy.
always needs something, attention or a snack or a drink or whatever it may be. And like you have to give him your attention. But also if you want to be successful in like working on your business or prioritizing that, you almost need someone else to watch him when you do that.
Yeah.
So I think in the future, when we're able to put a little bit more time into this, I think we'll have to have somebody watch him, and then you and I can go together. Like we can spend part of a day going to different shops with our product and actually getting to talk to these people and discuss it, as opposed to like, oh, hey, you know, I'm carrying my 3-year-old around, but this is what we make crafts. You know, it's hard to put your full effort into it when you also have him with you.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. That's parenting. That's just the way it is when you have kids. So anyway, we're still doing that. We're trying to brainstorm ideas and really wanting to do some comic book conventions here this year. So we've been doing a little bit of research on ones that will be here locally, and planning for like the Christmas season too, because we do really well when people can physically like touch and see the product.
Yeah, like craft shows is when we that's what we've mainly done, is craft shows, and that's where we really get a lot of people.
Yeah, the product just doesn't translate super well in pictures. Like it's hard to see how awesome they are in pictures, and then when you get to hold it in person, it's like, oh, these are super cool.
Yeah.
And people get really excited. So we're working on it, but it's always kind of in the background. I think hopefully with my new job and more consistency, we'll have more dedicated time.
We just need more round coasters now.
I know.
Get more of those.
We've expanded to do some round coasters, and I think they are freaking cool.
Yeah.
So
we normally do like a 4x4 inch square, or 4.5 inch by 4.5 inch square. But we've been actually experimented with these round ones, and they look so good.
Yeah, so they're definitely a different look. So the coasters that we have, you guys should follow us on our social medias. We're Comic Corp Creations on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We can
tag the link in
I'll link
bio
it
or something.
I think it's already linked like in our link tree.
Oh, okay.
But if you guys want to follow along, our original coasters, the square ones, are made again with comic books cut out, but we adhere them to a 4x4 travertine tile, and I precision cut all of them out to fit onto the tile, and I leave a little bit of room on the corners so that you can physically see the tile like behind the picture, and I think it looks super cool. But with the circle coasters, what we've been doing is we've been filling the entire surface of the coaster with the comic book edge to edge, and it looks super cool too. I mean, it's just personal preference.
It's a difference.
Yeah, personal preference, but right now we have limited quantity of those, and I don't have any posted on our website, but I'm working on it.
We need to figure out how to get more of those.
I mean, it just takes 5 minutes of doing research, but that again has to be dedicated time where you can think about it.
I know, but more of the specific ones that you got from your work.
Yeah.
Because those were free, and the profit on those would be double.
Yeah. Anyway, do you have anything else? Oh, I've got something that we can like kind of tie it into what we normally talk about in our podcast.
Okay.
Apparently we're starting a Marvel rewatch.
I was gonna bring that up, but I was gonna wait until to see what you said. But yeah, so last night I started Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah, and I was like so against it. I was like, we are not doing a Marvel rewatch right now. Like, we don't have the time. And then you started it, and I got sucked in.
Oh yeah,
so good.
It
and
is
even
so good.
Grayson watched it a little bit.
Yeah, he was very intrigued.
Yeah,
but he's a 3-year-old, so he also is like, oh, I'm done. I want to play, and then run around with the dog and and bring chaos to the house, and then but yeah. Captain America: The First Avenger. So far, I'm just like, this is gonna be a slow rewatch because we're gonna watch it in bits, pretty much each movie. But God, it's so freaking good.
It is so freaking good, and that is like one of the hardest things as a fan is rewatching something in clips, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I just watched the Jungle Cruise movie with The Rock and
yeah,
Emily
that
Blunt.
took like four
it literally
viewings.
took like a freaking week.
Yeah.
And how annoying is that? Like to me, that is super irritating, you know? It's one thing to like watch half of the movie and then the next day finish it, but that's not what we've been getting.
Yeah. So I think we're about halfway through the first Avenger right now.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I'm actually going off of the Friends from Work podcast, their rewatch order.
Okay.
So it's pretty much like what the timeline is on Disney Plus, but it's a little bit different. And I'm just like, God, I cannot wait to rewatch these. I don't know. I found like a new gumption for Marvel stuff right now, and I'm like really digging it because I'm like, oh man, this is so good.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are starting that, and I'm trying to plan if like we want to go over the movie each time we watch one, and kind of do like not a review, but like talk about it for a little bit.
I don't even want to discuss plans because I have no idea.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm just like, oh God, I want to talk about this so bad, and take notes and be a nerd about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've kind of chatted for quite a while.
Yeah, 42 minutes.
And
at
we
this point.
gotta go get our kid from your mom's house. She watched him all day today, so I'm sure she's tired.
Yeah.
But we will be picking up the podcast as usual. We still gotta do our Epcot tiered ride list. That will be the next planned podcast that we have. So that will be coming up shortly. Stay tuned. Hopefully we'll get some consistent content out for you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Sorry we haven't posted. I looked at it. It's been 3 weeks since we last posted. So I was like, yep, we got to get something out today. But thanks for listening, guys. And we'll catch you in our Epcot tiered list.